just for you and me. The dogwood was never to grow strong and tall again.
Hello, this is old Lonnie Jones again. I want to tell you a little bit more about my story through life and what God's done for me, how He's helped me to get where I'm at today, and can nobody imagine where I would be today if it wasn't for God. And I want to tell you about our church too, up at 101 Flat Ridge Road in Millersville, and it's a Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. We have a service up there every Sunday morning from 11 to 12, and we have Wednesday night, I believe it's from 6 to 7 on Wednesday nights. So we'd love for you to come up and join us at our church in Millersville. But I want to go back, episode 33, I told you about having my operation on my head and about the trigeminal nerve that they had to get under control and everything. And before I tell you about falling out of the tree and all that stuff, I want to back up on what I was talking about on episode 33, because this is episode 34 here. And 33, I talked about that. And what I didn't tell you, and I never thought about telling you, but the doctor had told us that I had a 50-50 chance of surviving, period. A 50-50 chance of even surviving. It could kill me. And the doctor would not operate until I went to my heart doctor, and they checked my heart to make sure my heart was stout enough to take this operation, to do this operation. And I forgot to tell you that on episode 33. So I wanted to back up and tell you how serious that operation was. That 50-50 chance, and I still agreed to take it. I couldn't stand the pain no longer. I absolutely could not stand the pain any longer. And obviously, God allowed me to say, yes, let's do it, because He was going to take care of me the whole route, the whole way. He took care of me all the way through my operation, and my heart was good to go with it, and He helped me all the way through the operation, got me recovered at home, fell in a grease pit, come out there unscathed, and so here I am now telling you about that. So I wanted to go back and tell you about the 50-50 chance of even surviving the operation. That's how serious it was. And my son and Rita was in the waiting room for the whole 8 hours while I was in the operating room. So I appreciate that. And again, we didn't let everybody know that we were even there. People worry too much. If you got God, God's got it under control. If you'll help yourself, He'll help you. So we didn't need to let the world know what was going on. So I appreciate Ronnie and Rita very, very much being by my side there waiting on me to get out. So, okay, so much for the operation on my head. Let's go to topping trees, walking up ladders and carrying chainsaws, all that stuff. So anyway, hey, people all the time calling me after I got well from all this stuff. People's always call me. I like to do things. I come from a country, raised on a farm. I like to stay busy and I like to do things. And I consider myself a professional chainsaw operator, because I was operating chainsaw from the time I was 12 years old until today. And I know about chainsaws. Well, you never know too much, but what you'll forget something, you understand. So I'm topping trees, and I've cut these trees down. Over this man's yard, and I've been working all day long, and it's getting late in the afternoon. It's about time to knock it off. I only like one tree, and the tree probably wasn't 10 inches in diameter. It wasn't a very big tree, and it wasn't a tall tree, but it had one limb that needed to be cut off before I cut the tree down to keep that limb from hitting a wire going to the house. So it was about 12 foot, I'd say 12 to 14 foot in the air is how far it was. Well, you know, most tree topping people has what they call a topping tree or chainsaw, which is a very light chainsaw, and it's got a short bar on it and a short chain on it. Well, I didn't. My chainsaw, the only chainsaw I got is a steel chainsaw, and it's got a 30-inch bar and chain on it, and it probably weighs 20, 25 pounds. I don't know what it weighs, doesn't matter, that's immaterial. So what I had done is I had just put a brand new chain, never had cut anything, and this limb was about, I guess 5, 6 inches in diameter and about half rotten that needed to be cut off. So I put the ladder up against the tree. Well, I made me a little practice run here, holding my arm around the tree. I was going, when the tree limb was going to be cut off to fall, I was going to grab hold with my left arm over here, standing on the ladder. I was going to catch myself when I done that. Well, not thinking about this being a brand new chain on this chainsaw, had never cut anything. It took both hands to lay the chainsaw up on the limb. Well, that was my first mistake. When I took this hand here off the tree to put both hands on the chainsaw, and I laid the chainsaw up on the limb, and when I did, I should not have hit the throttle on the chainsaw until I had grabbed the tree back again. But while both hands were on the chainsaw, I hit the throttle and it went through that limb in a split second. And the next split second, I'm falling 12 to 14 foot with a chainsaw in my hand off of that ladder. Well, on the way down, I point the chainsaw bar towards the ground to help break the fall. Well, I did, and it helped tremendously. The bar went in the ground about 6, 8 inches, something like that, and it broke my fall somewhat, but I still broke my ankle or my foot. Between my ankle and my foot, it wasn't all my ankle and it wasn't all my foot. It was sort of an in-between thing. I broke that thing, and when I sat down there, I seen he was sitting sideways, and I knew that the doctor had to set it 2 hours from now, or I set it right then. But let me tell you something. It hurts to reset your heel. I took that heel foot and moved it back over, and I mean, it hurt. Trust me, it hurt. And Rita didn't know anything about any of this stuff. So this was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, Rita don't get home until 6 o'clock. When she gets home, here I am sitting to say, I've got to go to the doctor. I've got a broke foot. So she carries me up to Centennial, the emergency room. Well, they don't do anything. They send me over to a doctor across the street over there, and he looks at it. He don't do nothing. He said, there ain't nothing we can do about it tonight. But he did wrap it up in some cloth and everything, but it had nothing to do with plaster Paris and all that stuff. He just wrapped it up, sent me back home. Well, the next day we got a hold of the doctor to go see. I don't remember what his name was, but we got to go see him the next day. Well, they x-rayed it and all that stuff, come back in, and I was sitting there, and I'm not hurting as long as I don't put no pressure on it. I'm not hurting. So he come back in and he said, well, said Mr. Jones, says, the only thing I can do is put a cast around it because it's lined up. I couldn't line it up any better. It's perfectly lined up. There's nothing I can do except put a thing around your leg. So that's what he did. He put this plaster Paris, and I made this thing cast to go all around my leg, down below my knee and everything. And then I could actually put weight on it at that time, but it still hurt a little bit. But so anyway, he sent me on back home, and I still had to sit around. Let me tell you, a broken foot or a broken ankle sets you back 8 to 9 months. It ain't no 6-week thing. It ain't no 4-week thing. It ain't no 8-week thing. That set me back. Me doing what I was doing, I was unable to do any of those things. I become nothing, sitting around doing nothing. It was close to 8 months before I could put all my weight back on that foot again. So it seemed like a minor deal at the time, but it turned out to be me going around on one of these things got wheels on it with my leg up on it everywhere I went, and having to carry that thing everywhere I went. And I had a ramp coming out of my back porch that I'd go up and down with that thing, because I still couldn't walk on it for quite a long while. Couldn't walk on it. So I'm telling you these things because God, I don't know how to explain what God did for me on, first of all, he didn't get me hurt no more than a blooming ankle broke or a foot broke when I fell out of that tree. And I was able to basically set it myself right on the spot and not suffer the next day getting reset by a doctor. And I guess he's trying to teach me a lesson. Don't be climbing the ladders. Probably a pretty good lesson he was giving me, which I knew better to start with, but I've never, if I wanted to do something, I've always done it. That's the thing about it is, if I've always wanted to do something, I've always done it. So at any rate, that's sort of the episode I had with my leg, and I'm not my leg, but my ankle and my foot is falling out of the tree. Well, there's not a whole lot of story between all that time that I can tell you that I just couldn't do nothing. I was absolutely couldn't do a thing, because when you can't walk, you can't put pressure on your foot or your leg or whatever. You're pretty much out of business. So needless to say, I got big and fat, and my pants. I had to change size pants, I think, about 3 times during that 8 months that I was out of whack. But at any rate, so when that was all said and done, it was all over and everything, I pretty much went back to doing the same things I was doing, except I wasn't climbing ladders. I wasn't climbing ladders. If I got a job to do now, like getting a limb out of a tree and everything, I call Lester Deal Tree Service. He comes and he got a bucket truck, and it's a whole lot safer in that bucket than it is climbing a ladder. So I got out of climbing ladders. I don't say I don't get on a ladder and go up 4 or 5 steps on a ladder occasionally now. And my wife gets on a ladder now when she puts food in the bird feeders. I know a man that a lot of you listening right now knows. Ed Chapman is his name. Ed Chapman fell off of a ladder 2 steps tall, 2 steps high. 2 steps. He was up the 2nd step painting. He fell off that ladder 2 ladder steps high and broke his foot, and he's never been right since, and it put him out of commission for a year. And so it's not how high you are up in a ladder necessarily, how bad you get hurt. It's how you land. For instance, when I fell off of that ladder, God told me to stick that chainsaw in the ground and break my fall. Had I not broke my fall with that chainsaw, I would have probably broke everything from my leg to my knee, maybe my hip. I have no idea what I would have broke. But that chainsaw stopped 50% of that fall. Almost, if I had it to go over again, which I thank God I don't and won't have to. If I had to go over again, I believe I could have done it a little different and probably have walked away from there. Could probably walk away without ever having been hurt. But you don't have time thinking when it takes you 2 seconds to fall 14 feet, 12, 14 foot. You don't have a lot of time to think what you could do, should do, or should not do. He did give me the ability to think fast enough to stick that chainsaw in the ground the first time to stop the most of the fall. So I wanted to tell you about that, and also don't forget about our Friendship Missionary Baptist Church on 101 Flat Ridge Road. It's right out of Millersville, almost in White House. As I want to always tell you about, we're up there from 11 to 12 every Sunday, and I think from 6 to 7 on Sunday nights. And I believe they do Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 as well. So I want to tell you about that. And all the things that God has done for me, I'm going to tell you one more real quick story in this episode 34. Back many years ago, I owned a little barbecue restaurant up in Hendersonville, Tennessee, on Saundersville Road. Anyway, it was right on the edge of the lake there, and of course, most of you know I played bluegrass music ever since I met any of you, ever since I can remember I've been playing. So I had that place, and I wanted to have this bluegrass festival up there between it and the lake. So I brought a bulldozer in, and I got this bulldozer to level the back lot off for me. Well, he leveled the back lot off for me and everything, and I put down straw and seeded it and everything. Well, when I was about to have my bluegrass festival, it started raining the day before. It started raining the day before the bluegrass festival. Well, the grass hadn't come up yet, so the place got muddy, and it was raining, and it just rained, and it rained. And I had quite a bit of money tied up in doing the show and getting the people there to do it. I had quite a bit of money tied up in it. So it just seemed like it was never going to quit raining. And this is only my personal opinion. It happened to me, so it must be true. I walked out on the front porch of that business, looked up in the sky, and asked God for it to stop raining. I said, God, will you please stop it from raining? I've got a lot of money tied up in this little bluegrass festival, and I need your help. Will you stop it from raining? Well, as sure as I'm sitting right here in this seat right now talking to you, blue sky opened up. Blue sky, just a small spot of blue sky opened up. And I want you to know, it didn't get sunny right then. Don't misunderstand me. But the rain started tapering off. And within an hour from the time I asked God to stop it from raining, it wasn't raining a drop. And approximately an hour to 2 hours later, it come out with not a cloud in the sky nowhere. And it never rained another drop, and that was on a Friday. And we were going to have a Friday night thing. Well, we had a small Friday night thing because it was still muddy out there. Not real muddy, but somewhat muddy, because it had a lot of straw and everything. People had put the chairs out there, and people were coming up from the lake. And that Friday afternoon, it quit raining, and it never rained another drop. I don't even know when the next day was that it rained, but it never rained another drop for that bluegrass festival. Sunshine from daylight to dark. And I had a fairly successful bluegrass festival. Didn't lose any money, sold a lot of barbecue. So I came out on it, and in my opinion, only through the grace of God did that happen. What would it have made it stop raining other than God decided to stop it from raining. I don't know. I don't think it just stopped raining out of the blue, because the forecast, the best of my recollection, the forecast was rain the whole weekend. Of course, I had planned this thing for a month. How you know that it's going to rain or not going to rain that weekend when you don't need to rain? Things about doing outdoor events, you plan them in advance, but you never know what that day is going to bring. Well, God basically saved me that weekend on my Bluegrass Festival. And if you remember back through my episodes, when I told you that I quit drinking, I looked up and asked God to help me stop drinking and I'd never drink again. He did, and I don't. Another time, if you remember, I looked up through the ceiling in an apartment I was living in by myself. In one of my episodes, I asked God, I said, God, if you will stop me from smoking, I will never smoke again. He did, and I don't. That day, long before I quit drinking and smoking, long before that, we're talking about around 1980, when we're talking about I looked up in the sky and asked God to stop it from raining so I could hold my Bluegrass Festival. That's about 1980. 1988 is when I asked him to help me stop drinking. 1990 is when I asked him to help me stop smoking. I didn't ask God to get me through this operation that I had a 50-50 chance of making it. I probably didn't have to ask him. He already knew that I would make it, because he knows in my heart how I feel. So I do and try to live the best I can, because I know God's at my side. I know God is helping me in every way no one can imagine. Just what has God done for you today? What did he do for you yesterday? If you will think, you will find out that he was there and you hadn't thought about it yet. See, that's the problem the humans have. You go to church, you listen to the preacher for an hour, you go home and 2 hours later you done forgot what he talked about. Well, my philosophy is you got to think of God every day, every hour of the day. If you don't think of him in the next hour, you need to think of him twice the next hour. It's not about you got to be in church. Church just keeps you reminded. Well, if you train yourself to love God and be reminded of God every hour, every day, and days goes by, there's not a day goes by that I don't think of God and thank God for what I've got and what he's done for me. But you don't have to go to church to thank God for things he's done for you. If you didn't go to church today, look around you. What did he do for you today? What did he do for you yesterday? What did he do for you last week? Whether you went to church or not, he still does for you. He will always do for you. That he is wanting to help you. That's what he is there for. Is to do for you what you can't do for yourself. So I guess my point being is what was an hour out of your life on Sunday morning? What's an hour out of your life on Sunday morning to go to church, to stay close to God, so that 1 hour can make you maybe live forever? We don't know that. I'm no preacher. Trust me, I'm farthest thing from the world from that. But I'm telling you, I'm talking about, when I talk to you, I'm telling you what God's done for me. And if you will think what he's done for you, you will be really surprised of what he's done for you that you've never even thought about. So start putting God in the head every day. Think about God. Don't go through all day long and don't think. Look around you. Whatever you got it It belongs to God. Whatever it is, don't make no difference what it is. It belongs to God. And God gave it to you. You helped get it, but you had to have God's help, whether you believe it or not. You can't go through this world without God's help. Don't ever forget it. So I'm going to end number 34 here, and we'll pick up on number 35. And I hope that I said something that will touch you enough to change your mind on some things that you may need your mind changed on. I know I can't say that God's never changed my mind about anything, because I can sit here and tell you He has. The way I look at things, when I look at God, what God thinks about them, trust me, you will change your mind a lot of time. And there's nothing in this world no greater than saying you're sorry if you are truly sorry, or apologize if you're wrong. Nothing any greater than that. But it takes a man and a woman with a big heart to do things like that, and is a God believer, believes in God. So I'm going to, I can sit here and talk, I guess, another hour, but all I am now is I probably am beginning to bore you. Don't mean to bore you, but I'll see you on, we're going to play a couple of tunes before we end number 34. But I'll see you on 35. But right now we're going to get out here and pick and grin a couple of songs for you. And we hope you enjoy them. And just let us know on my Facebook there what you think about what we're doing here and what God's done for me. Look around and see what He's done for you. So we'll see you on episode 35. And thanks for watching, okay? Appreciate it. We're going to try this where we're doing it or don't do it.
See these lights flickering just any time.
And you got that right. Everyone travel, my dark to travel.
Is gone. Road is rough, filled with gravel. I must journey on and on. Make she walk by the way, get down to me from God above. All the days I first met her, and I told her wrong. My dark for me to travel up my street. Gravel, I must journey on. I had a hiccup. Can you not be strong together, walking on? I love the fire, I love the bird, never abandoned. Oh, I know I'll be there. I know for me to travel my street. She is gone. Road is rough, filled with gravel. I must journey on and on. Woo! Yes, sir.
grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear and raised my fears revealed. How precious that grace appeared the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
Amazing grace.
Yeah.
Jesus died on the cross from a dogwood tree. He gave his life and soul just for you and me. The dogwood was never to grow strong, and